Have you ever wondered how Google became our everyday tool for almost everything? For example, when you need to buy something, when you try to fix things without experts, or when you want to find a good gym for workouts, you use Google. There's probably no one in the world who hasn't used Google except for people in poorer countries. The company Google is known to everyone who has ever used their search engine or simply surfed the internet. Today, it's a real giant company that owns not only the search engine but also YouTube, Gmail, and other popular services. However, Google is more than just its products. This company has not only revolutionized the industry but also changed the lives of ordinary people. But how did they do it? Do they have their secrets? Today, I'll tell you how Google became so great. Let's get started. Let's dive into the history of this huge giant. Google was created in the late 1990s during the internet boom. It was founded by two friends, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Interestingly, Sergey was born in Moscow in 1973, but when he was 6 years old, his family moved to Maryland, where his father taught at a local university. At the age of 9, his father gifted him his first computer, which was one of the most expensive at the time. After excelling in school, Sergey obtained a bachelor's degree from the same university where his father worked. However, he didn't stop there. He headed to California and easily got into Stanford University, where he met Larry Page. Larry came from a family of programmers. His parents were also computer science professors at a university in the state of Michigan. From an early age, Larry was fascinated by computers, especially their assembly. Like Sergey, Larry graduated high school with honors and earned a bachelor's degree in Michigan. He also decided to apply to Stanford University, and of course, he got in. Let's skip their childhood years because they were similar to many other kids. Let's move straight to Stanford, where this story began. When the two of them were at Stanford University, they weren't friends at first and had disagreements on small matters. But living together in the same room led them to become friends. Their friendship turned out to be essential because Stanford University assigned them a research project where they had to create something related to programming. Larry and Sergey wanted to build their own search engine that would be better than the ones available at the time. The existing search systems didn't sort search results by the frequency of the words found, so users often received irrelevant information. So, Larry and Sergey started a project called Backrub, where they created a search engine initially called backrub.com. Unlike other search engines at that time, they introduced a parameter for page significance. It indexed pages using an algorithm called PageRank, which is still successful to this day. Thanks to this algorithm, user queries became much more efficiently processed. Anyway, they managed to create a search engine that was convenient in every aspect. It was ideal for use, inspired by the vast number of links between pages and the idea that their search system would become more accurate and useful as the internet continued to grow. Larry and Sergey renamed their company to a mathematical term, Google. Initially, this search engine was popular among Stanford professors, and they implemented it within the university so that students could use it to find information more accurately. In 1997, they put their plan into action. After receiving positive feedback from students, Larry and Sergey considered spreading their creation worldwide. Some students even hinted that they needed this search engine for their daily lives. Both Page and Brin were at heart scientists, and in the early years, they tried to sell Google to pursue other interests. During this time, Google was nearly sold to Yahoo, a major player in the internet sector back then. In 1998, they tried to sell their PageRank system to Yahoo for $1 million, but Yahoo turned them down, claiming the asking price was too high for such a product. Their offer was unlike anything offered by other products at that time. Soon, their site, which was hosted on Stanford's servers, got overloaded due to increased traffic, and Stanford's IT department kicked them out. Page and Brin moved to the garage of Susan Wojcicki, a future Google employee and the head of YouTube, in 1998. This place served as their temporary headquarters for a year. The change of workspace happened around the time they received an initial investment of $100,000 for Google Inc. from Sun Microsystems co-founder Andy Bechtolsheim. It was twice the amount they asked for. But what's even more surprising is that Google wasn't even registered at the time they received the check. Andy came to listen to their presentation, liked the idea, and was impressed by the answer they gave to his question about how they would make money by providing search results. Then, Page and Larry proposed placing search ads displayed in the search results that were relevant to what the user was searching for, and they would charge for placing these ads. After securing funding, Google officially registered at its headquarters in the garage, and on September 4, 1998, Larry Page became the CEO to establish Google Inc. In February 1999, Google moved from its humble garage to a new operational base on University Avenue 165 Palo Alto, thanks to the recently obtained funding. It was the same office building that housed companies like PayPal and Logitech. Google also hired its first employee, Craig Silverstein, who worked with them for over 10 years before moving to work at the Khan Academy. The company grew at a breathtaking pace, both technologically and financially. They started hiring more employees and investing in equipment for web page search, indexing, and cataloging, and to serve their users. Google made a commitment to run its servers on Linux. Red Hat caught their attention, and the company signed them up to perform all internet computing functions. Around the same time, Google adopted its well-known, albeit unofficial corporate philosophy, "Don't be evil." Shortly after moving to Palo Alto in June 1999, Google attracted its first round of venture funding, securing investments of $25 million from Sequoia Capital and Kleiner Perkins Caulfield and Byers. During this time, Sergey noticed that the company was facing losses because they were spending more than they earned. They found themselves in a tight spot, needing to pay employees and rent, but running out of money. Both Larry and Sergey weren't particularly fond of making money from advertising, but they didn't have much choice at that point. In 2000, Google introduced AdWords. It came out of a roughly month-long beta version with around 350 advertisers participating in October 2000. AdWords was Google's second advertising program, with the first being premium sponsorships, launched a few months earlier in August 2000, where the direct sales team sold premium sponsorship ads to advertisers. Google also explored contextual advertising for a while. However, they faced competition. Applied Semantics, which had a contextual advertising product called AdSense, was the major player at that time. In 2001, Google appointed Eric Schmidt as CEO, insisting they did so due to the rapid growth of the company. Eric Schmidt joined Google in May as the chairman of the board, having previously held positions as chairman and CEO of Novell and Chief Technology Officer of Sun Microsystems. This allowed both Larry and Sergey to refocus on the technological aspect rather than trying to manage the company. They also opened their first international office in Tokyo just 3 years after its founding. In April 2003, Google acquired Applied Semantics, gaining technology to strengthen their existing contextual advertising program. In turn, Yahoo offered Larry and Sergey a $3 billion deal in 2003, but by that time, they were more informed about the product they had at hand and turned down the offer. In 2004, they moved to the newly leased headquarters with over 800 employees. This headquarters is known as Googleplex, which is what we know it as today. On April 1, 2004, they introduced Gmail, their email service. Since it was April Fool's Day, users initially thought it was a prank. Google was quite clever with its previous pranks. On August 19, 2004, Google started selling shares of their company for $85 per share. For comparison, today, a share of Google's parent company Alphabet is worth over $1,000. The Google we know today is the culmination of all the products and services Google created or acquired over the years. Their best and smartest acquisitions were those that were closely related to their core search business, even if Google lacked specific expertise. Google followed a certain trend: if you can't build it, buy it. Let's look at some major products and services that resulted from timely acquisitions by Google. On July 11, 2005, Google quietly acquired Android Inc. for $50 million. Andy Rubin, Rich Miner, Nick Sears, and Chris White founded Android in 2003 with the goal of developing an OS for smart mobile devices and cameras. Rubin and his startups offered a new type of mobile operating system, a simple, functional, open-source platform with tools to make life easier for developers. Ultimately, they intended to make the system free for anyone to use. This was enough to convince Larry Page and Sergey Brin to take on this new project, so they bought it. Later, in 2006, the company of the two friends bought YouTube for $1.65 billion. Initially, Google tried to create its own video hosting called Google Videos, but several players were already present in this niche. YouTube was one of them. Videos on YouTube were already viewed by up to 100 million people per day, so Google made a rather risky move by acquiring it. The risk was that before the acquisition, users were uploading copyrighted content, making it a potential magnet for lawsuits. Google skillfully changed the situation by entering into contracts with content owners and implementing a reasonable content removal policy. As a result, YouTube thrived and now earns billions of dollars every year. But after 2006, major companies that invented smartphones dominated the smartphone market with their touch models. Here, it would have been smart for Google to enter the market with its own phones or buy one of the companies. But the two friends decided to do things differently. They simply struck deals with different smartphone companies to advertise their products, basically pre-installing apps on their smartphones, and they agreed. Even now, if you buy any smartphone, you'll see pre-downloaded YouTube, Google, and so on. In addition to that, at that time, Google didn't have its own browser, so they paid various browsers to place their search engine there. To combat this, the pair of founders, hired several Mozilla Firefox developers to create a browser owned by Google. Eric Schmidt was initially against this idea but was impressed when he saw the demonstrative product. Then, on September 2, 2008, Google Chrome was officially launched for Windows XP and later for smartphones. It was a minimalist browser that, like Google, disrupted the existing market and easily paved its way. In 2011, Larry Page replaced Eric Schmidt as the CEO of Google. However, both Larry and Sergey were not satisfied with just one company, Google, managing all the acquired companies and products. So they decided to rename Google to Alphabet, creating a holding company that included the search company Google along with a bunch of other companies, Google Fiber, DeepMind, GV, Calico, Capital G, and so on. Larry Page and Sergey Brin became CEO and president of Alphabet, respectively. They appointed Sundar Pichai as the CEO of Google. This allowed them to focus on developing and implementing new technologies and services, just as they had done before, without being burdened by managing the company. Nowadays, Google has become almost synonymous with the internet. The term Google is officially recognized as a verb by the Oxford Dictionary. Almost all internet users have, in one way or another, used Google's services or products. These statements aren't exaggerations, considering that more than 1 billion people use each of Google's products and services. The founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, have decided to step down from the leadership of the search engine's parent company, Alphabet. Page and Brin have often been praised for their innovative vision but rarely for their management skills. In recent years, they lost interest in their brainchild and stepped into the shadows, and now they're leaving their positions. Although these two geniuses rank among the top 10 richest people in the world, alongside figures like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and others, they are not as well known as them. Therefore, they currently live like ordinary people, without bodyguards. Moreover, even with billions in their pockets, they dress very modestly and sometimes use the metro like regular people. So if you happen to meet Sergey or Larry with a single ticket in hand on the metro after watching this video, you can always remember that money doesn't always change a person. What do you think about this? Write in the comments, I'd be interested to read your thoughts. Thanks for watching the video until the end. Good luck to everyone, goodbye.